Hi, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to do a 7th Gen Collection Voodoo video, and I'm showing you guys Houdini here. He's being cute and curled up on his log. He's been like this most of the day in various positions. Anyway, this is going to be extra low-tech today. I think I'm just going to hand hold this. Oh. But, yeah, so sorry in advance for the shaky cam. But I'll go ahead and put these on this little stand here. I'll aim it this way a little bit. So today we're going to go over Xbox 360 games that are published by Atlus. Kind of low-hanging fruit. I've already done Atlus on the Wii. Kind of forget if I did them on the PlayStation 3 yet. I don't think I did. But the first one we have here is Operation Darkness. Now, this is a pretty cool game. Because it's a strategy RPG, and actually I'd have to check. I guess I'm not entirely sure about the development. It looks like it's developed by Success, but at any rate, I only played a little bit of it. I just kind of popped it in to check it out. It's a kind of an early-er Xbox 360 game. I don't know if you guys remember, but you know the 360 was actually getting a fair amount of Japanese support, and especially they were really pushing for some RPGs on it. And you know, the system was so successful here that I think publishers thought that they might have a real home on the 360. Now, you know, how well that worked out, I don't know. I think that the audience was a little bit of a better fit maybe for the PS3, at least once that got a little more traction. But you know, suffice to say, this is it's a somewhat uncommon game now. Something I used to see around a little bit more. If you're getting out there hitting the streets, I think you know, you can run across this out in the wild. It's probably going to run you a little more than the average price for a 360 game, but it's not going to be expensive. Maybe just a little bit more. You're not really going to have to, you know, shell out too much for this right now, which is nice. Next up, we have Spectral Force 3. Now, this is another one of those you know, RPGs. As far as I know, this is also a tactical kind of strategy RPG. What's cool about this is it's actually developed by Idea Factory, who you guys know, you know, has ended up having a lot more releases on the PlayStation and such like that via like Nipponichi and that kind of thing. But and you know, of course, they're their own publisher now. But anyway, at this time, they were being published by Atlus on the Xbox 360. I've heard that the Spectral Force series is not especially great. I have a feeling it's probably up my alley, though, so, you know, I think it might depend on how much you like these games, but, you know, who knows? I haven't really played this one. This is not super hard to come across, I would say. It's, you know, could be starting to dip into uncommon, but it's kind of on the cusp. It's not going to cost you very much. I think now is a great time to get it while the getting's good. It's going to basically be like the average price for a 360 game. So I'd say definitely grab this one if you want it. Next up, we have Zoid's Assault. Now, yeah, Zoid's Assault. My buddy picked this up when it first came out, and you know, he was excited about it. It seemed like an RPG. Gosh, you know, I'm not even really sure if this is like a traditional or a tactical RPG. I mean, it sounds a little more tactical, specialized tactics, unit support, but you know, I don't really know. I know at one point I was working on the script for the Super Famicom game. I think it was Zoid's Legacy, Zoid's Saga. Zoid Saga, I think. And the script was just garbage, and I didn't like it, so I didn't translate it. But that's kind of beside the point. This, I would say, is getting a bit uncommon. I used to see it around a little bit more. I still run into it once in a while, so, you know, again, I think if you're out there looking around, you know, you might see it. But, I mean, even, like, this copy of it that I ended up settling on, it's not in very good shape. This is just kind of my, I mean, it's company use, but it's, you know, it's the one that I'm kind of like having around here, and I know you can't really see, but like it's dented in the artwork there and stuff. It's not in the greatest of condition, because it's a little harder to come across, especially in good condition. So you know, this one's gonna run probably like double the cost of the average game on the 360 right now. So, if I'd keep an eye out for this one if you want it. Try to get it in good shape and get it, while you can. Next up, again, sorry for the shaky cam. We have Divinity 2 something, the Dragon Knight Saga. This is a series I know literally nothing about. It's had a couple of different publishers on the 360. There's another game in the series, or another version of this game, or something like that, published by a different publisher, and I guess I'll cover that once I get around to them. But Atlus published this one. I just picked it up for the collection, so to speak, and it's a little uncommon, I would say. It's something that I've seen around in stores, though, so, it might not be that uncommon. But, online it looks like, it's totally available. You're going to run into this game. And it's, it has some variants, though. Not so much in the game itself, but in extras that came with it. It seems like at least the first print, and I don't know if there were multiple prints, came with a soundtrack CD. So you may want to keep a real eye out for either one that comes with a soundtrack CD, or maybe to pick that up separately. And apparently pre-orders, and I'm not sure pre-orders from where, also had an art book. So there is an art book and a soundtrack CD available for this. I don't know that I have either of them. I'd have to look inside to check, and I just haven't. But you might want to keep an eye out for those, is all I'm saying. Next up. It's a game that I've mentioned before that I do not run across, and that is King of Fighters 13. You guys know that King of Fighters 14 just came out. I actually just picked that up myself. This one is uncommon, I would say. It's, like I said, I don't see it out in the wild. You can find it online, but there's not probably a ton of it out there available. You're going to definitely be paying a little bit more than the average Xbox 360 game for this as well. Probably at least 2 or 3 times as much. And in terms of extras, I think this had a pre-order bonus as well, and it looks pretty cool. I think it's called King of Soundtracks, and it's I think a 4-disc soundtrack collection. So that's pretty cool. Definitely not something that I have. So you guys, if you're interested in that, you might want to keep an eye out for that as well. Now, we're going into... Oh, and I kind of forgot to mention. So everything up until that point was all basically... Well, I take that back. The first several were Xbox 360 exclusives, and we moved into the multiplats. So I'll just go over which ones are multi-platform now. Divinity 2, the Dragon Knight Saga, as far as I know, is a multi-platform. Well, I guess I'm not 100% sure. I think that's a multi-platform. I could be wrong on that. The King of Fighters 13 is available on PlayStation 3 and 360, so that's where we are with that. The Cursed Crusade. This is a multi-plat. This is available on the PlayStation 3 and 360. And this is, again, something I didn't play. I don't think it got reviewed especially well, but it's something I'd seen around, and then suddenly it got kind of hard to find. It's not really uncommon, I would say. I mean, it's not significantly uncommon. It's available. But I did have to, when I decided to bite the bullet on this one, I kind of had to dig a little bit to get it. But it's a cheap game, more or less. I mean, I'd say it's about the average price of a used Xbox 360 game, if that tells you anything. I mean, for a, fantasy style, I think it's like an action game, published by Atlus on the 360. It's not pricey by any means. And yeah, like I said, it's available on the PS3 as well. And the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Now, this one I would say is, I want to say it's common, because I see this around in game stores kind of a lot. And I feel like the price has finally gotten down to the point where it's like just the cost of an average 360 game, or maybe like a little bit more. So it's sort of like a good time to bite on it. I picked it up. But, I looked online a little bit. There weren't a whole lot of copies floating around there. But I wouldn't say this is like hard to get. I would just say like now is a good time to get it because it's cheap. So I would say go ahead and pick this up. Testament of Sherlock Holmes. And then there's just a few games here that I don't have on the 360, but I'm just going to mention them because they're also published by Atlus. I happen to have the PlayStation 3 version of Catherine. So this was also available on the PlayStation 3 and I mean the Xbox 360. An interesting thing to point out is this did have multiple versions. It had alternate covers. So I believe the PlayStation 3 version has 2 different covers, maybe more, and the Xbox 360 version has 2 different covers at least. So that might be it. It might just be 2 alternates for each one. But anyway, keep an eye out for alternate covers if that's something you want to collect. This game definitely has them. Additionally, I believe it has more than one special edition. I know there's the, oh god, what is it called? The Love Is Gone edition or something like that. And there might even be another limited edition for it. I just do your own research on those, you know, whether they both are available for both consoles or what, or even if there is more than one limited edition. At any rate, if you want limited editions, there are them of Catherine. Game of Thrones on the, obviously the PlayStation 3 here, but this is also available on the 360. And this game, as far as I know, like, Atlus was just like, oh, sweet, a Game of Thrones game, let's go ahead and publish this. And it turns out it's not, like, the best game in the world. I think because of that, this is pretty common and it's pretty affordable. It's about the average cost of a, 360 game. So, but keep an eye out for it if you want it. I'd say it's really pretty common, but now's a good time to get it because it's affordable. I don't think it's going to get a lot cheaper. And next we have Persona 4 Arena. Now, they released 2 versions of this. So obviously this is on the PS3 and the 360. This one is going to be like really easy to get right now, really cheap. You can probably get this for like less than the average cost of an Xbox 360 game, or at least the same, just the average cost of any 360 game. Because of the second version they released, I think everybody wants that one. So this is, something if you want to have both of those in your collection. That one's going to be the easy one. This one also isn't going to be too hard. At least right now, it's pretty well available. It's kind of dropped in price. I don't know if it's going to drop in price anymore. But it's in the, you're going to be spending maybe like a little over the average price to maybe like double the average price of an Xbox 360 game for this. And obviously it's also available on the PS3 because that's the version I currently have. So those are the games published by Atlus for the Xbox 360 that I know of. I would always, as I say, encourage you guys to do your own research. Don't rely on this as the end-all be-all, but those are the ones that I know of on the Xbox 360. So I hope that this was helpful, especially if you want to collect Atlus published games on the 360, and I hope you'll join me again for more video game related videos. Take care.